Whew. Cabinets of Curiosities have always fascinated me. A Cabinet of Curiosities, also referred to as a Kunstkabinett or a Wunderkammer, are at its very basis simply collections of interesting objects such as pieces of natural history, archaeological relics and pieces of art. The concept of the Cabinet of Curiosities emerged in the 16th century, the earliest depiction of it being in Naples in 1599. The purpose of it being at the time showing that someone possessed a good amount of knowledge of the world around them through the observation of its subjects, such as animals, plants, rocks, shells, etc. This was a big deal in the Renaissance. It showed that you were a well-rounded person with knowledge that was based on scientific facts. However, a Cabinet of Curiosities became something far more than just that. It became a way through which someone could show their status in society. Curating such a collection of oddities was often expensive, especially if your collection included exotic specimens. Basically, there are two types of Cabinet of Curiosities. The first one serving a more representational function, more concerned about aesthetics and showing off exotic specimen or fake mythical creatures. The second one serving a more practical and scientific purpose, showing off true natural specimen and historical and religious relics. Both are marked by curiosity for the world around them, but however, whereas one is more academic, the second one is more fetishized, more about establishing the idea of the distant and exotic Orient rather than exploring the real world. I've been wanting to possess a Cabinet of Curiosities ever since I became aware of their existence. Though a cabinet in the original sense of the word simply means a room in which oddities are put on display, such as the one in the British Museum, nowadays you often see Cabinets of Curiosities taking on the shape as real cabinets, a case or a shelf. Now, if you want to buy a Cabinet of Curiosities or only its contents, you will find that they are really expensive. So naturally, I decided to make a Cabinet of Curiosities of my own from scratch and on a budget. Let's say €15. So, what exactly does a Cabinet of Curiosities consist of? According to Gabriel Kaltemarkt, there are three types of items which are indispensable in a Kunstkabinett: sculptures and paintings, curious items from home or abroad, and antlers, horns, claws, and other items belonging to strange and curious animals. What you often see in these Cabinets of Curiosities are skulls, skeletons, and taxidermy animals. Now, personally, I am not a big fan of taxidermy. And I don't even know where you would buy a skull, or you would have to rob a grave, and I'm not doing that again. So instead, I have these little plaster skulls that I bought in Naples a couple of years back, and I've been searching for a good way of putting them on display, and I think that a Cabinet of Curiosities would actually fit them quite well. And to look for rocks and shells and other curiosities, I looked into my old childhood collections. I used to collect a lot as a child, and after all these years, it turns out actually that had a purpose. And for example, I also had this deer that I had received as a present when I was like 6, when I was in Germany. I think it was actually part of Christmas decoration, but I actually think it would fit rather well in a Cabinet of Curiosities. So it is time to do some shopping. First, I bought a cabinet which I bought at a thrift store for €7.50. Next, I bought bottles in which I would be able to put some things like plants and flowers, which was 6 bottles for €1. Now, plants and rocks and shells, I could have that all for free because they are part of nature. And next I had these little plaster skulls which were €1 per piece, which I possess 5 of. And next I had these glass things, which were actually part of photo frames, which I could be able to press a leaf or something between, and that was 50 cents per piece, so in total €1. That brings me together to a total of €14.50. So let's put together our Cabinet of Curiosities. First off, we start by cleaning up the cabinet. It was quite an old thing and it was covered in dust. When I found it, it's hidden in some corner at the thrift store, standing on top of some random piece of furniture covered in dust. It did have some signs of aging, but I actually think that it adds to the charm of the whole piece. Besides that, I believe that the previous owners must have been smokers, since the outside of the glass was covered with this brown grime that must have been from cigarette smoke. But besides that, the cabinet was actually in surprisingly good shape, and I actually can't believe that it was only €7.50. I'm definitely also keeping the dark colour, since it gives off a very classic look and that just really fits my aesthetic. Next, I cleaned up the glass bottles that I bought. Then I went around the house and into the garden to look for plants and flowers that might be interesting to put into these bottles. To make it look a bit more interesting, I wanted to completely seal off the bottles with a red wax, but that turned out a bit messier than I had hoped. I eventually went for these stickers that you sometimes get when you buy wax seals, and I put them on top of the bottles, and the rest of it was sealed off with transparent tape. Now for my rocks and shells and other things, I went and dug into my childhood collections to find basically anything interesting that I could put into the cabinet. And I really found some great stuff. Now, all we have to do is put it all together. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, whatever you feel like. And till next time, and remember, stay curious.